Greetings, this is Jazz for JazReviews with my fully fledged review for Ubisoft's Far Cry 4. Hidden in the towering Himalayas lies Kyrat, a mountainous paradise steeped in tradition and violence. You play as Ajay Ghale, travelling to the family's birthplace to bury his late mother's ashes. What he wasn't told, however, is that good old Dad had founded the Golden Path Freedom Fighters, a struggling rebellion against the oppressive, self-appointed, and seemingly eccentric King Pagan Min.
I'm with Ajay Ghale.
Kyrat is huge, combining cultures and landscapes that seem to take inspiration from Nepal, Tibet, and Thailand in its fictional environment. The open world is a living, war-torn, and believable setting that is beautiful to witness on foot, or from the generously placed modes of transport. The wingsuit, jeeps, jet skis, hovercraft, and hang gliders all make return. The latest additions include both gyrocopters and ferocious elephants that can be used to charge down the Royal Guard. The new implementation of auto-drive is not all that reliable, but was much appreciated as I peppered enemies from quad bike. Kyrat's intraversible cliff rocks can on occasion be grappled via the new grappling hook, allowing for an elevated sense of freedom on foot. But the gorgeously alluring mountain summits in the distance there merely form the game's backdrop, and cannot be climbed or even reached outside constricted campaign segments. Far Cry 4's grappling points too are fixed to very specifically designed points of interest, and so my interests in exploration were somewhat curbed by very deliberate pathways in an otherwise open-world free-roaming game. The crafting system is back, allowing players to upgrade ammo pouches and loot bags, for example, through skinning particular animals. By foraging plants, you can also craft a number of syringes that will boost certain attributes. Ubisoft have packed an astounding level of side content into Kyrat, including all forms of hunting, armed escort, propaganda destruction, bomb defusal, hostage rescue, and assassination-styled missions. These features may be considered as very simplistic tasks in themselves, but developers have done well to litter the entire map with a great variety of side missions that still tie into the game's economic and progression system. The best signature weapons are typically locked behind the completion of a specific mission set. Otherwise, the remaining items and weapons can be accessed through the main campaign.
Are you here to do the Lord's work?
I guess so.
And it's the main storyline missions that were hit or miss for me. A large quantity of objectives proved predictable and unimaginative. Some blatantly copy the game's predecessor. On the other hand, a bunch of sequences managed to throw the player into awesomely hectic battles that may even provide for an illusion of meaningful story decisions.
Sabal wants to destroy it, he's so sure of himself.
And you want to capture it?
Exactly.
The Golden Path leaders, Amita and Sabal, should be united under a common cause, but the game forces the player to choose between the pair.
This heroin is poison,
leading to some fairly interesting narrative twists that also provide for a level of replayability, as the decision to accept one leader's orders will in turn reject the opposing mission. Why Ajay is given any responsibility though is questionable. While the previous game gave us Jason Brody, a rich and immature frat boy that rubbed gamers the wrong way.
First time, I know exactly what I want, and I'm not gonna let it slip away.
Ubisoft could be commended in their attempt to deliver a real character arc that personalized the turmoil of Far Cry 3. Strictly speaking, Ajay Ghale is not a silent protagonist. You will hear the odd expletive word or reaction to the chaos around him.
Amita sent me over. She said you might have some kind of wild animal problem.
Developers had even succeeded in showing off his face in the first 5 minutes of the game via selfie snapshot.
One fucking chopper, you couldn't fucking do that!
Whilst Pagan Min seemed promisingly versatile and complex, as well as brutal and captivating, Far Cry 4's main villain will not keep this boat afloat. Pagan is hidden from the vast majority of your time spent in Kyrat. His henchmen too vanish just as swiftly as they appear on screen, enriching greater heights of high-octane action through an abundance of new ways to kill enemies. The narrative has fallen flat. In a sense, I felt passive to the entire plot and characters before me. If given complete freedom in both gameplay and storyline, I may very well have found myself fighting for King Pagan instead, as opposed to choosing between Mummy and Daddy. A range of missions delve into drug-induced scenes of maddening objectives that are occasionally enjoyable. Some people may also appreciate a complete change of style, as the real world does tend to repeat itself in whole. Once you've seen one tree, you've seen them all. And that's where the mythical land of Shangri-La on acid comes in. but I must admit that the game's urge to shock, charm, or unnerve me as a player became exceedingly ineffective. Its cast of basket cases attempt to entice and tease the player into such missions.
See? It worked! I could see through the walls. What? Bollocks to that, you just heard his footsteps.
But Dumb and Dumber here only succeeded to annoy me through multiple encounters. But on to the good stuff. Outposts make for a glorious comeback, allowing you to strategically mark enemies before engaging. Your next move is limitless. You can lure dogs, bears, and Bengal tigers into decimating enemies for you, before stealthily disabling the alarms. But the new hunter enemy type is also able to do the very same, and will tame animals into attacking you directly. But you are free, of course, to wage war against the enemy base however you'd like. You may utilize flamethrowers and proximity mines, for example. Or make use of the new gun for hire tokens, which can be redeemed to call upon the Golden Path allies in a firefight. More exciting, however, is the co-op integration for the open world. Single-player missions are switched off, and together, friends can raid outposts, find collectibles, and explore the world. And don't worry, all experience and items gathered carry over to all players' games when the session ends. Coordinating with a friend can make life a whole lot easier. The game's few fortresses are particularly difficult, acting as heavily fortified outposts that boast defenses such as mortars and helicopter gunships. The cooperative is an amazing innovation that can only advance the chaos to be witnessed, and the fun to be extracted from taking on this exotic world together. Kyrat's many collectibles such as letters, propaganda posters, sacred wheels, and hidden masks can be found to unlock a range of special weapons. Thousands of treasure locations can be bought from the shop. The treasures themselves range from historical artifacts to knockoff sat-navs and condoms. But the otherwise useless items can be sold to purchase new attachments for more guns. The game's treasure hunting economy delivers an engrossing experience, massively inflating gameplay time as a part of a wider progression system. The guns themselves are hugely varied, even adding a number of more obscure firearms. But some weapons are definitely more effective in damage versus fire rate, as the shooting mechanics fail to in any way capture a true sense of recoil. I found the LMGs to be ridiculously overpowered in both damage and accuracy. Far Cry 4 is a ton of fun, but the guns do shoot like toys. The game's skill tree features a number of defensive and offensive upgrades, some of which carry over from Far Cry 3. But the competitive multiplayer is in no way simply tacked on.
You will fight as both the Golden Path and Rakshasa in 3 conflicts.
All of which equip the Golden Path with a complete arsenal of weapons and vehicles. The opposing Rakshasa faction lurk through the shadows, making use of the trusty bow and arrow. They can even teleport with certain arrow types, as well as stay invisible while crouched. This team can unleash the full power of animal control. Multiplayer is diverse and entirely unique from Far Cry 3's typical game modes. The extensive map editor is also back for player versus environment. Not to mention the brand new single-player arena, which pits the player out in a range of challenges tied to the online leaderboard system. There is even an unlimited wave-based survival mode, hurling all kinds of enemies and beasts your way for one hell of a challenge. But when all is said and done, Far Cry 4 doesn't take risks, and is happy to lie in the shadow of Far Cry 3.
The voice of Radio Free Kirat, Rabbi Revana.
The radio personality of Kyrat spews a number of interesting points, but the narrative is undeniably lacking, and in some ways just felt like the excuse we needed to cause this much mayhem.
That should have worked. Well, they bloody did it!
Luckily, Far Cry 4 can be a ridiculous amount of fun, and does well to throw random events your way, such as karma events, enemy convoys, and couriers, which can all become very addicting and distractive excursions. Gameplay time can span anywhere between the mark of 20 to 30 plus hours. This is Far Cry 3, just a little more mental. I issue Far Cry 4 a 7.8 out of 10. This has been Jazz for JazReviews with my review for Ubisoft's latest title. I hope you enjoyed the video. For more fully fledged video game reviews, subscribe now and I'll keep them coming. But thanks for watching. I'll be leaving you now to get back to my MG42 on an elephant. But until next time, I'll see you in the comments.